Hello, Grover Casey here again. This is a little filler I've decided to do to try and teach me a little more about presenting myself on camera. Um, Something I think you might find interesting. It starts when I was a little boy, around 1962 or 1963. My dad was a musician. His name was Bill Casey. He was heading up a band called the New Country Project at that time, and we were traveling through New Mexico. And around Albuquerque or so, it was late at night, probably at least midnight, maybe later, 2, 3 in the morning. Really, really dark, but lots of stars in the sky, very peaceful. Pretty good amount of traffic on the old highway. Back then, you didn't see super highways too much. We saw the highways we were on were just 2-lane roads. But Dad was leaning forward and looking up out of the window in an old black Buick that we had. And he said, "Look at that!" And we all looked out and looked up in the sky at the windows and couldn't see much in the car, but Dad pulled over and stopped, and we all got out. And he walked out front and led us all out front in the car and pointed us up to the sky, and he was pointing at the objects that he was observing, and up in the sky we all saw it. There was a great big, well, great big is a relative term. I don't know how big it was, but it was very, very high in the sky. To me, it seemed like it would have been at 12 to 20,000 feet up, and it looked like a star, only it was red in color. And off of this object, a lot tinier little red dots were shooting off of it, going out across the plane of the horizon, and it'd go up and over, and it'd come back, and it'd go back inside the what Dad termed was the mothership. And sure enough, that's what it seemed like to me. I mean, there's one big red dot and a whole bunch of little red ones that come out of it and go fly around and fly back in. Sounds like a mothership to me. Well, there were a couple other incidents when I was a little boy, kind of like that one, but that's the one that sticks out most in my memory. The second incident, um, I'm not sure it has anything to do with um, spacecraft or aliens or anything like this, but in a way it seems like it does to me because of what I felt during this time. Well, I built a 3-speed bicycle in 1980. This is after I got out of the Army. And I rode that 3-speed bicycle from Turlock, California, down to Tulare, actually Stevenson, California, to Tulare in one day. Tulare, California. And from there, I went from there to Hohenwald, Tennessee in a week. I think that was like 800 or 900 miles. It's been so many years I forget exactly how far that was, but I think that's about 900 miles, somewhere in there. I cheated. I got a ride over the desert. Um, Anyways, on the first day, I was actually going from Turlock, California, to Stevenson, California, just to start out easy and to say bye to my brother's in-laws. Well, I got there and it was only like 10 or 15 miles, but I rode it fast and the bike was loaded down heavy, so I was pretty tired. Well, his in-laws, my brother's in-laws, put me up for the night, and they gave me this bed. It was in the back room, by old Granny's room or whatever, and it was like mattress upon mattress upon mattress. So it was a big old soft thing, and I laid down, and I remember my eyes never closed, and all of a sudden I felt like I was paralyzed. And so I tried to move, and I was paralyzed. I couldn't move. I couldn't even blink my eyes. And I felt this weight holding me down. And I just kept fighting against it and fighting against it. And in my mind I was going over talk with God and about Satan and trying to get God to give me the power to bust free this hold that Satan had a hold on me. And of course I'm a believer, and I'm sure he's what allowed me to break free, whether it be by my faith or answering a prayer or whatever, I don't know, but I eventually broke a finger free. And as soon as I broke a finger free, I knew I could get free, and then I became free. And so I sat up immediately, and not from the time I laid down to the time I sat up, I had not closed my eyes. I just laid down, and immediately I was paralyzed. Well, I'd had this feeling of being held down. That's why I was thinking, especially since I was already in a praying mood, that's why I was thinking that it was Satan holding me down. But later on, I read Communion by Whitley Strieber, and in one, it was either in that one or one of his other works, that it mentioned sleep paralysis and its possible causes. And in one, of course, it's just sleep paralysis brought upon by whatever, some scientific mumbo jumbo about you were tired from riding a bike, and so you put yourself into some kind of hypno-suggestive mood or whatever, and were paralyzed for a bit. Or they suggested it was possible that a lot of the so-called abductees had reported this very same phenomenon many times in their life, and that it was actually brought upon by being paralyzed by their technology, and you felt the people or the things oppressing you because they were, just that in your mind you didn't associate with it because they might have been messing with your ability to do so. So there's number 2 for you. Number 3, in about 91, I had just moved to Arizona. I just met a girl in California by the name of Enola, my wife now. And just like 4 days after I had met her, I was on a bus to Arizona to help open a ranch at kind of a dude ranch outside of Tucson, Arizona, called the Wild Horse Ranch. Very famous old ranch, a lot of history there. You can look it up about its history. Some old treasure hunters be interested in that one. But anyways, we were in the process of building a faux western town, and they named the town after me, Groversville. This is at the Wild Horse Ranch there in Tucson, Arizona. And my dad and I were going out there to get the place ready for the grand opening, and also star in a play for the grand opening called Chagrin Gardy. And it was based on two characters that my dad and I created of two old prospectors. Two old prospectors. That's why we were there, or why we were there in Arizona at that time. Well, skip forward a little bit of time. Sometimes goes by as we're building the town and getting the place started and everything there. I moved this girl that I'd met. I get her to agree, and I get her moved out to Arizona with me. I drag her whole family with, and come grand opening night, or no, before grand opening night. Yeah, it's before grand opening night. We had just been rehearsing the Chagrin Gardy play, and the rehearsals got out at 10 o'clock, and it was starting to get dark, and all the actors, there's about 30 people in all out there, and about 18 or so were actors, others were supporters, and, set maintenance, everything else. Anyways, me and the gal that had come after, her name was Dolly, my wife. We were just about the second or third car driving out of the Wild Horse Ranch going, that would be going north. And off in the distance, at the right side, the passenger side of the windshield, we saw a triangular shaped, looked like a flying wing, silverish, come out of the clouds. And we're on the side of a mountain, right outside the outskirts of Tucson, up in the hills, up towards Apache Junction. And so we pulled over, and so did everybody else in the line. There was like about 13 different cars. And we all got out of our cars and vehicles, and we turned over to the right. We're all on the driver's side of the cars, and we're all looking at this huge triangle, this wing, at least a football field wide. And it got as close as, say, 50 yards, half of that, close to us. And it came down from the clouds, and as it got closer, I could make out details on it, and it looked like it was like riveted together, and it was like metal and like the old flying wing, except for the engines weren't there. It was quiet, completely quiet, no noise whatsoever. And there were searchlights coming out of the bottom of it, searching the ground. Just like Close Encounters of the Third Kind, just they'd come out and they'd shine real bright, super bright, and then they'd go out and it'd move up and into the clouds, and then it came back out of the clouds, and did this like 3 or 4 different times. And on one of the times that it got really close, I could see there were windows along the trailing edge, and I could see silhouettes of humanoid figures. And to this day, I believe they were kind of shaped like the alien graves. But that could be my imagination, whatever. I'm not sure. This could have been a secret military plane, like I say, especially because it looked to me, and maybe that's something in my memory that's been changed or whatever, that it actually looked like this, because my wife at first didn't say that it looked like that, but then later I talked to her and she said, yeah, it did look like that. I don't know. But the thing is, during this whole time too, I was taking my Bic lighter and I was flashing it at him, because I've always been wanting to go on on a ride on an alien starship. So I was flashing it at him, and after about 15 minutes, it went back up into the clouds for the last time. And when it disappeared for the last time, we all got back in our cars and took off. We didn't talk to each other, which is weird to me. I'm the kind of a person, if I see something like this, I'm just going to be all over the place, just telling everybody all about it. But one weird thing is, we didn't talk to anybody. We all just got back in our cars and headed home. Now, our home is only 5 minutes away by car. Remember, it was 10 o'clock when we left, and it was we were only observing these things for about 15 minutes. So we left there at approximately 10:15. 3 hours later, my wife and I found ourselves driving home, which again I said was only 5 minutes away from where we left. To begin with, 3 hours later, we found ourselves driving home. I know because I looked at my watch, and it was 1 o'clock. We found ourselves driving home, and we said something about, wasn't that something? And that's all we said. And we didn't talk about it again for 7, 8 months, maybe a year. And at that time, about a year later, I just started to remember something. I asked my wife, do you remember in Arizona? And she said, yeah, I do. And then we started talking about it, and we remembered more and more and more. And we finally remembered all that I just told you about. I don't know. I do know I've seen unidentified flying objects. I do know that the first set that I saw were doing things our stuff at the time was not supposed to be able to do. The middle one, the sleep paralysis, I don't know whether it was just scientific sleep paralysis brought upon by fatigue, whether it was, well, no, whether it was a spiritual thing, or whether it was one of those alien encounters. You be the judge. The last one, definitely unidentified flying object. Multiple witnesses. multiple witnesses, missing time, and an attitude of nonchalance that just didn't belong. You be the judge. See you later.